A breaking shocking news in Mexico, which we're seeing this happen all over the world. They've officially made the biometric CURP ID mandatory. Going to be rolled out February 2026, full rollout. But they want iris scans, fingerprints, photos in a QR code. This is getting closer and closer to what's going on in China, man. There's going to be facial recognition next, guaranteed. So what's with the AI being permeated into our realities here? What's the big idea behind it? Well, I can tell you that there's a plan. It's a very devious one. It's more shocking than any science fiction movie you've ever seen. Because this is real life, and those movies are actually based on what's kind of going on behind the scenes. Now, this is going to be promoted to us as efficient and convenient, and it will speed things up. And it's for your safety. Don't forget about your safety. And then the final thing will be that they're going to sell it to you as is merging, getting closer and closer to AI actually makes you superhuman. It's a tool that empowers you. When really, if you fully got merged with AI, you wouldn't be superhuman, you'd be inhuman. This is part of the plan, and it has to do with the reason they're adding so many chemicals to the food, air, and water supply that weakens us. Well, if you want to detox the PFOAs, microplastics, pesticides, herbicides, glyphosate, atrazine, heavy metals, and more, Chalk is giving away free bags of chocolate top powder today. This is organic heirloom cacao from Bolivia that stimulates stem cell production. It's super detoxing and delicious. If you combine that with the hot water purified Shilajit, you have some of the most potent superfoods in the natural world. This is clinically studied to boost fertility for men and women. It's a hormone optimizer, and it massively boosts brain cell production. Comment free below and check your DMs for detail. A break.
All right, shalom to the elect of Israel. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rechak Wadash. And what I said was all the praises, honor, and glory belongs to Yahweh, who was the Heavenly Father, in the name of His Son, Yahweh Shai, who was the Messiah, in the name of the Holy Spirit, which in Hebrew is Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. And as you see here on this video, it says, I'm going to read it again. Mexico has officially made the biometric CURP ID or CURP ID mandatory, now including fingerprints, iris scans, and photos in a QR code, with full rollout expected by February 2026. Next year. Okay, let me just check some of the comments here. But all right, so the thing is, as you know, or if you don't know, when we look up we hear about these different news articles, a lot of the times you gotta double check to see if it's true or not, because sometimes fake news gets put out there. All right, but I went to go check. And lo and behold, this is off of the actual website, July 18th, 2025. It says, and let me just go back real quick. All right. Well, yeah. It's true. This one even says Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. Lord willing, I'll come back to that. But let me just get this, as I don't want to, I don't want to, lose track of initially what I wanted to get. So it says Mexico to roll out voluntary, which means basic. Let me just look it up. Basically means if you, want to do it or not. But voluntary says done, given, or acting of one's own free will. And another thing, too, is, to get familiar with the type of terms, E uses. Okay, like back in 2020, I remember they said, compulsory and everything like that. They had those different words and terms there. All right. This is Mexico to roll out voluntary biometric, which biometric means basically body measurements, So it has to do with, like scanning bodies, for example, your handprint, eye print, stuff like that. Biometric, it says, because bio means body and metric means measure, as Apostle Tahar had brought out. It's biometric, involving the automated recognition of individuals by means of unique physical characteristics, typically for the purposes of security, but relating to or involving the application of statistical analysis to biological data. All right. And we all know that these things is what Another step closer towards the MOTB. Now, this article came out July 18th, 2025, and it says Mexico is launching a national digital ID overhaul in 2026. And just think about something real quick. You got this happening. You got Trump just, did a stable coin thing. Where do you think the world is going towards? Okay? But it says Mexico is launching a national digital ID overhaul in 2026. Let me see, overhaul. Because you got to look at words. Overhaul. Take apart in order to examine it and repair it if necessary. Overtake someone, especially in a sporting event. A thorough examination of machinery or system with repairs or changes made if needed. Let me see. Overtake, service, maintain, rebuild. Okay, so service, maintain, repair, mend, fix up, patch up, rebuild. Alright. It says Mexico is launching a national digital ID overhaul in 2026, introducing a new biometric version of the Unique Population Registry Code, or CURP for short. It says the update, approved as part of a package of 11 legislative. Let me look up what CURP means. Well, I mean, it said it. This Unique Population Registry Code. The Clave Única de I don't know how to say that in Spanish. De Población is a unique identity code for both citizens and residents of Mexico. This is something to identify the citizens and residents of Mexico, the people who live in Mexico, or are citizens of it. Each CURP code is a unique alphanumeric 18-character string intended to prevent duplicate entries. So it says Estados Unidos Mexicanos, clave nombre, right? Let me just see something. Unique Population Registry Code. Clave Única de Registro de Población, or translated into English as Unique Population Registry Code. Alright, let me just type something in. What is the CURP used for? It says the code is used to officially identify each person and is considered a key document to access government procedures and services. So, the identification. Okay. Let me see here. It says currently the CURP is essential for tax filings, to keep records of companies, schools, membership in government-run health services, passport applications, and other government services. CURP is now used in all civil registry, individual records, birth and death certificates, and certified copies thereof. Alright. So it's basically identifying you, identification, with the government. Okay. So let me go back. Okay, right here it says, what is a CURP number, how to get one in Mexico. It says, what is a CURP number? Let me just look at what clave means. Clave meaning, it says clue. Hold on. Salaki, just digging some. Okay. Hold on. Unique population registration key. Yep. So it says if you live in Mexico and perform any administrative tasks, you will no doubt be asked for a CURP number. A CURP number is a unique code which identifies all Mexican citizens and residents. CURP stands for Clave Única de Registro de Población in Spanish, or Unique Population Registration Code, right, or key. All right. It says in English, every number is unique to the person it identifies. It is generated from information about each holder, such as name and date of birth. Once you get a CURP, you will use it for your whole life. They do not change. So you get this, right? You know, and it says it's to identify you. All right. I believe it has your it says name and date of birth. You know, and you have the same thing for your life. Now it says the CURP number is necessary for many official procedures in Mexico. For example, to open accounts at any bank. That should make you think of something. Buy and register a car, pay taxes, get a Mexican driver license without giving up your foreign one, join the National Healthcare Program with IMS, which is short for Mexican Institute for Social Security, get a homeowner's exemption from paying capital gains tax on a future sale of a Mexican property. All right, let me So here's a breakdown of what you can do with it. So I'm just getting this so you know to understand different things, you know, because I never heard of this until now. So you know, just want to get something. So it said accessing government services, so filing your taxes, you know, Social Security, healthcare, so education you need it for school enrollments, passport applications, right? Driver's license, voter registration, civil registry, immigration procedures. Says it is essential for foreigners living in Mexico to access various services and legal processes. So so this is part of what. So this is what you use. You know that, CURP number for. You know, it says general identification and verification, proof of identity. The CURP serves as a primary form of identification in Mexico. Financial transactions. It's often required for opening bank accounts, applying for loans, and other financial dealings. Job applications, it's used for employment applications and is part of your work records. Legal transactions, it can be required for legal transactions like buying property. General identification, it helps verify your identity in various situations. So out there in Mexico, this CURP number, you use it, you know, to basically, you know, live. You know, it's to identify you. You got to use it, you know, to buy and register a car. Okay, as it says, you know, to go to, you know, to for employment, etc. Right? You drive. It says you may need it to obtain or renew a Mexican driver license. You see? And this is going digital. So let me go back here. It says Mexico is launching a new national digital ID overhaul in 2026, introducing a new biometric version of the Unique Population Registry Code, or CURP. So this same CURP, they said they're going to take it. They're going to have a biometric version of it, meaning basically that everything we just read, how you need this, you know, certificate or whatever. Now they're going to be, I guess, via body measurements. You know, electronically, it's going to go. You know, well, let's keep reading. It says the update approved as part of a package of 11 legislative reforms will enable citizens to link biometric data such as fingerprints, iris scans, photographs, and digital signatures to their CURP record. According to government officials, participation in the biometric CURP system is voluntary. President Claudia Sheinbaum emphasized that individuals can choose whether to enroll, but noted that the new version will eventually be required for certain services and official procedures. So she said they're saying it's voluntary, right? And they could choose to enroll, but the new version said it's eventually going to be required and mandatory for certain services and official procedures. The biometric CURP will include a QR code to enable digital verification, part of a broader national effort to modernize identity systems and reduce fraud. But we know what they're really going with this. You know, we know what direction this is really heading, which is towards that MOTB. It says full enforcement is expected by February 2026, though the rollout will begin earlier in the year following a 2-year development period. All right, and just however long, things may take, man. All right, you just gotta hold on to the faith, because he's saying it could start up, they could really start going digital within the next year. So, thinking it would give them some time, to, get, because Esau doesn't just jump straight to stuff. He does a lot of things gradually, so I think they give him some time, you get some, you think it might, it's possible it could take some time for them, get everyone on the ball with this stuff, you see? Now, listen to this, because I'm just reading through this now, right? I'm just skimming around. Now here it says Mexico's digital ID, right here. It says Mexico's digital ID transformation aligns with global trends, see? So nations and countries around the world are going along with this, digital transformation thing, man, which is all steps toward the MOTB, the Karagma. As countries such as Cambodia have also adopted biometric IDs. Let me just type in something real quick, just so we understand. Is a biometric ID. A biometric ID is a security identification method that uses unique biological or behavioral characteristics to verify a person's identity. Instead of relying on passwords or PINs, biometric IDs utilize features like fingerprints, facial patterns, voice, or even typing patterns to confirm who someone is. And that's all done digitally. Fingerprints, facial patterns, voice, the recognition of all that to recognize who someone is, all of that stuff is done digitally. Okay? So instead of you typing in a password, like you put in your phone or put in a PIN number, instead of you doing that, for a system to recognize who you are, and realize and understand that it's you. They rather use your fingerprints or face recognition. You see, things that have to do with your body, and these are measurements to find out who you are. You see, to see if you are, the said person. And so around the world, they're going digitally with this stuff, and we know eventually it's going to turn into the MOTB, man, which is the Karagma. All right, they're going to have. Let me get that real quick since it's on my mind. It's Revelation chapter 13, right? In verse 16, it says that he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. See, and when you go into this word mark, we know it's Karagma, right? We're just talking about the sea hip itself, right? But then you go to the root word karax. It says a paler stake or a palisade. You look that up. It looks like that thing that is the thing they use to cut into your flesh to give you the MOTB. That syringe. Okay, but when you go even further back, it's grapho, right? And it says to write with reference to the form of the letters, right? It's to fill with writing. All right, it says used of those things which stand written in the sacred books, to write one, i.e. by writing in a written epistle, to give information, directions. So it has to do with writing, so because with this MOTB, all right, your all your information is going to be in it. You see, health records, who you are, etc. And this thing, All right. They're gonna put it in your body. That's what they want to get with people. They want to put it in your body. Okay. You know, but through that they're going. It's gonna, but it's also gonna have your, your all your information on there. You see. So all this biometric ID and digital, ID, all of that is steps towards it, man. Okay, so let's go back. It says, says Mexico's digital ID transformation aligns with global trends. See, countries such as Cambodia have also adopted biometric IDs featuring QR codes to support secure access to digital services. In Mexico, the biometric CURP is part of a broader shift that includes updates to administrative and healthcare system. All right. This is while the new ID will become mandatory for official procedures starting in 2026. The government has not yet specified penalties for those who choose not to participate. Authorities say the system will prioritize privacy while enhancing national identity verification infrastructure. All right. So since 2026, it become mandatory, but up here they said it's going to be voluntary. I don't know why they said one is going to be voluntary, then the next it said mandatory. All right. Once again, I didn't read this whole article yet, but the brother had posted it up, so I went and looked, typed up the article and saw this. Now, so this is next year, and we're already more than halfway through the year, man. Okay, it's going by fast. Scientists said the Earth is spinning fast. The Lord is speeding up the times, man, shortening the days. You see, so this thing is going to be here quicker than you understand it. All right. Now here, it says this. Mexico makes biometric identifier mandatory for all citizens. Mexico has officially introduced a digital identification system by signing a law that turned the previously optional biometric-based citizen code into a mandatory document for all citizens. Last month, legislators approved amendments to a law related to the 18-character personal identifier known as Unique Population Registry Code, Clave Única de Registro de Población. All right, we just went through all that. Understand what it is. It's that, to identify who they are, and you can use it for different things in society, right? You need it for different things in society down there in Mexico. Because with the change formalized on Wednesday through a decree, the mandatory CURP. So I guess they're gonna make it mandatory now to have it. Okay, another step towards the MOTB. The mandatory CURP will contain personal and biometric information, including a photograph and a QR code containing biometric fingerprint and iris data. And the thing is, you understand, right? Once again, like I heard the elders down in Dallas say, the problem is, I believe Apostle Dahar said it as well, but the problem is, because the thing is, we're going to be living in the system, right? And you can, use it, but only when it starts to come to where they want to, go within your flesh and put, and put that thing in you, okay? That C-hip, all right? So, you can, when they come with this, however they do it, you biometric this, face scan that, and we live in that society, right? You could use that stuff, but once they talk about, it's mandatory for you to take it in the flesh, then that's a no. That's where we, branch off from society at. See, that's where the ship set sail. Okay. It says the government has also allowed the consolidation of the citizen codes into a single identity platform that will be connected to other state databases and administrative records. According to the decree, the Ministry of the Interior and the Digital Transformation Agency, right, says must create a unified identity platform within 90 days, while public and private institutions will be required to update their system to recognize the identifier. All right, and they said they didn't find any, penalties just yet for anyone who doesn't take it. Okay, But you see where this stuff is going, man. And another thing too, this time, because this devil's going to make everybody take it, right? And that's another thing that should tell you what the hour of temptation is. Let me get that real quick, all right? Because this is one of the main precepts that came to mind when I saw this. Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. And it's not a literal hour, all right? But it's talking about a time of temptation. And when you look up this word temptation, right? Let's look it up. Parasmos, right? You go into the Greek word, the root word, pyrazo, right? I believe either that one or you keep going back. Pyra, yeah, pyra. It says from the base. It says this is through the idea of piercing. Okay, let me just see what this one says. All right, no, but it says through the idea of piercing. So this hour of temptation is when. And think about it. It said through the idea of piercing, right? With the MOTB, the mark, the C hip. They're gonna give. It's gonna have you're going to pierce your flesh for it, for people to receive it, right? So this hour of temptation is when this devil makes the C hip mandatory, right? That is the hour of temptation, and it says, "Which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth." And that's the point I wanted to get. It said, "Which shall come upon." The point was the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. Okay, because it's not just gonna. This devil ain't gonna make it just mandatory here in America. Okay, the CHIP is not gonna be just made mandatory here in America. All right, but the whole world is gonna have to take it. The whole world is gonna be caught up in this ongoing system and everything. Okay, that's why you see steps towards the CHIP in other countries like Mexico and whatnot. Like they said in Cambodia. So we close to it coming. All right, but however long it takes, man. Let me get this scripture real quick. This is the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. For the vision, the prophecies, right, including MOTB, is yet for an appointed time. Certain time the Lord has it set up that is going to happen. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So though it may feel like it's taking a bit long, wait for it, because it's going to be here sooner than you know, man. The Lord is speeding up the days, okay? So, hey, Lord willing, this was edifying, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim HaKakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that were well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Shalom to the elect.